welcome to Your American Dream. I'm Anisha Jennings, and today we're exploring how Fintech can create financial equity with Feli Oikonomopoulou, whose journey from international lawyer to tech founder proves that sometimes the most powerful innovations come from our own unmet needs. Hi, Feli. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Anisha. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So you were a lawyer, and then you were in tech. You also worked in Bank of America, and now you have your own startup, your own app, and you came in from Greece and moved to so many countries, and now you're finally in the US. Tell us all about your journey from Greece to now where you are.
Yeah, so thank you for this intro. Indeed, I grew up in Greece and I finished school there. I became a lawyer and I studied in Greece and in the UK. And since then, my whole professional career was abroad. I started with law first in Luxembourg and Paris, then in the UK. And for the last 3 years, I live in the US. I moved to the US to do my MBA. I also did a semester abroad in Singapore, and now I live in New York. The real question is like why from law to finance? And the reality is that as I grew up in Greece and as I was going through my university years, I really loved law. I really loved the ideas behind it, and the way that the legal system is structured. But we had the financial crisis in Greece, and this got me very interested into understanding more why, like the why behind that, and what leads people or countries take wrong financial decisions that have like very severe consequences for the future generations as well, apart from from them. After that, I was a practicing lawyer in Europe and in the UK. I liked being a lawyer. I didn't love it. I found it a bit limiting. And I wanted to switch to business. This is why I did my MBA, and I did it in a completely different country, in a completely different continent. And I really wanted to travel the world. And what I see through this, like travel the world, but travel the world not just as a visitor, as a tourist, but also live and work in different parts of the world and experience the financial system so through the eyes of of the people in different countries. And what I did see is that, interestingly enough, I noticed that, first of all, I didn't know how to manage my finances wisely, and I didn't know how to invest. I was not taught how to invest, even though I was well educated and I had finished like university. I didn't know how to invest, which is a life skill. I had to learn it by myself, and also others around me, and especially women, did not know or did not feel confident with investing. And it was even more surprising to me to see that this gender investment gap was very consistent regardless of where I was, because someone would think, okay, maybe Greece is not that well ahead with investments. No, that was a situation in France as well. That was a situation in Luxembourg, in the UK, in Singapore, in the US, in countries that we think that equality has been achieved. It's even more interesting to see that when I researched the data, I saw that it will take 3 to 8 generations, depending on the continent, for this gender investment gap to be bridged if we continue doing the same things that we are doing now. And this is alarming because, in contrast, like we are talking a lot about the wage gap, and it's something very important, and we have to shrink the wage gap. But unless you also bridge this investment gap, you do nothing. Why? Because investments compound, meaning that if you have two people that start the same job and the one invests, the other one does not, the one who invests will end up having even 4 times more the wealth than the one who does not invest. Not because they did something better, not because they were more capable, just because they did not learn how to invest versus the other person. So this experience led me to start WealthMeUp. It started as a project when I was doing my MBA, and then it transitioned into a full-time job and company. And it's really the vision hidden behind that, to really understand what causes this gap, or to put it differently, what causes, even though investments are so accessible today, but what causes them to be not truly accessible? Why some people still are not that familiar, why some people are still underrepresented in this market, even though we do have the tools. And I did research that in different ways. And what started with a very like basic idea was formed into a more specific concept, and then to a more unique concept that we put now out in the market. And this is Wealth Me Up.
Amazing. That's such a powerful insight because, finances is always a tricky subject, and not a lot of people want to talk about money or investment, and the ones who want to do it don't know where to start. So that's a great perspective. Thank you so much for that. So what challenges did you face in making your career pivot?
What challenges? I mean, I was always pivoting and like changing countries, changing jobs, trying to find really what fits me. The challenges were many, but I didn't really see them because my willingness to explore something different and really find what is fulfilling to me was always greater than the downside. But objectively looking into the facts or into my life, like before and after, when you have, like, it takes some years to feel comfortable in your job in a different country. So by the time that I was, senior enough in my at my work, I was earning like good money. I had a very good life, like, planning to buy a house. Actually, I had put an offer to buy a house, be integrated enough into a foreign country and be a citizen, like receive citizenship in the UK. By that time, I said, okay, now it's time to move. Now it feels too comfortable. I have to drop all this and move into something completely different and move into a different country. Okay, still speaking English, but move into a different country, not earning a salary, being a student again, doing startup that is, very risky inherently. And at the beginning, it doesn't pay well. And moving into a new culture, everything new. And this was not the first time. Like I had done that when I first moved to Luxembourg and Paris. Again, cultural barriers were huge, language barriers were huge. I had to work in French, which was my third language. And by the time I felt that, okay, now I'm comfortable enough, I said, now this is the time to move. So this is the pattern, I think, that when I achieve what someone else would say, okay, I'm comfortable enough now to stay here and just, build a life, I say, I'm comfortable enough, that's not good. I have to transition into something more challenging.
So you don't let you yourself move from place to place depending on how you're feeling at that time after you've accomplished something. How do you measure when it's time? Like, when is it time to move? Did you, like, how did you deal with these challenges? And moving from one state to another itself is challenging, and you're moving from country to country. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was not planned. It was not planned from the beginning. When I was 20 or 22, I had in mind that I will go and do my master's in law abroad for a year, maybe two. Maybe I'll stay for like a couple of years to work there, and then I'll go back to Greece. That was the plan. That was all I could foresee. And then I would say that the one opportunity led to the other. At some point, you feel that you have reached a plateau, and this is very different to for each person. And you have this feeling that you need something different, something else, or something more. And this is the moment that you say, I have to move, I have to change, I have to do something differently. And for me, this is what keeps me excited and motivated. And also what kept my like professional career, that I don't like the word like career, but what kept my life interesting. Now this comes with a lot of challenges. For example, personal stability, like maintaining a relationship long distance or
Yes.
maintaining a relationship in all these different countries. But it does worth it, because if you're doing something that you are passionate about, and you can only find it in a different part of the world or in a different industry. So to your question on when do you know that it's the right time, you know it. Like your body tells you that you need to change. By every means, your body tells you that you need to change, that you don't feel happy. And this is something very subjective. It's not something that easily comes up in a conversation with a friend, because um, if you put like the objective facts down, the comfort that a stable life creates always outweighs in a discussion the risks of change.
Yes.
But really, the unquantifiable element is the happiness or the motivation or the joy that this can bring to your life. And if you're the type of person who wants to embrace this risk, it's definitely something that you should do.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's definitely hard to have such conversations when people are telling you everything is going well. Why do you need to move? Why do you need to uproot yourself and change things, and why rock a stable boat kind of situation?
Yeah, and I think that's even when you say that everything is going good, we have conditioned ourselves to define what is good life or
Yes.
lifestyle and what is a bad lifestyle, to define the in accordance with very strict social norms
Yes.
and not in accordance with what we really want or how we really want to spend our time.
Hmm.
So this is where you really need to build the character to say, you know what, I want something different, and I have the courage to pursue that. And sometimes I see that as if you are an artist. Like you cannot tell an artist, don't paint or
Yes.
don't create because you have to buy a house. Don't create because you have to like earn a salary. They will do it no matter what.
Yes, that's a great analogy. Yeah, that kudos to you for doing this because now you're like not only challenging yourself, but you're doing something totally different. So, have there been moments where you've ever thought that, okay, this is good, I feel happy now, I don't really feel the need to move? Or has there been moments where you're like, this is going to be really, really challenging to move and I don't want to do it, but you did it anyway? How did you pursue through these situations?
You mean with the startup, things are challenging every day, and you question yourself every day. And the only way forward is to keep going regardless, and really see the long-term vision. Sometimes, like it's really the long-term vision that keeps you going and keeps you do things even though at the moment you don't feel like doing them. So yes, not every day you wake up and you're like, oh, today I'm gonna conquer the world. Or you wake up like that and then something happens and things change during the day. During the startup day, you really receive more negative news in a day than positive news, but you receive both in a single day, and no day looks like the other, and like every day is different, every week is different, every month is different when you try to plan ahead for the business, and you come across different challenges and you just need to react to them. So some days you are low, or some moments you are low, and the only thing that you can do, I mean, obviously you can think about the long-term vision, you can journal, you can think about what you have achieved in life, but the only thing you can do for me is just keep going, keep doing, even if you are unhappy, even if it doesn't bring you joy at the moment, even if you are unmotivated at the moment. Motivation comes in the process. You are not motivated every day.
Yes, that is so true. You are not motivated every day. So, what was your journey like moving from Greece to a completely different country? What was the first experience? And then once you did it first time, then the second time, what has been your experience across the globe, moving from Greece to now to then UK, then to London, and what did it teach you? What were the lessons that you learned through traveling across the globe?
I think that the biggest lesson is adaptability. That every time I was in a new country, first of all, people at this country think that whatever the culture is the norm. This is how things are done, and you start doing things in a certain way, consciously or unconsciously, because you're now part of the society and you want to be part of the society. And this is a challenge also, because even though you speak the language, the cultural barriers are always there, and some countries are more receptive to them, and some countries are less. But once you overcome this initial shock of, oh my God, I'm in a different country and everyone behaves differently, that I don't even remember it now. At the very beginning, also, I had language barriers. Like even English was my second language, French was my third language. I had a lot of language barriers to get over. But once you get familiar with the culture, then it's like business as usual. Like even changing in culture, you know what to expect, and it becomes a matter of, do they use Uber here, or they use Grab here, or they use what Uber Eats or Deliveroo, what type of app am I gonna use? And then this is a moment where the real experience happens, because you start seeing these differences, these cultural differences, not only in the society and in the way people like order or eat their lunch, but also in the way that people do business or approach business ethics, working ethics. And for me, was very interesting, especially when I moved to Singapore for some months, and I saw how business is done, and I saw their perspective from the Southeast Asian now. I for Southeast Asia as the center of the world, not from the US or Europe as the center of the world, and what business means for them or how you expand there. So this was very interesting. Also, looking at the countries themselves and how they have like their history was always something very interesting to me. And again, I will use the example of Singapore, that was a country that started from zero. Uh, it's a very new country, started literally from zero, and now it's one of the most developed countries in the world. So it's an excellent example of how of what someone can achieve, what a person or a society can achieve if they are consistent and loyal to one particular goal. And of course, for all the other countries, there are similar lessons to be taken and learned.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for that perspective and sharing your insights and your experience. That is very interesting. So you were in the finance world and then you came up with this app for investments. So how did your personal financial journey influence your business concept?
Yeah, that's a great question. The concept was a product of my very personal experience in finances as a woman in finances, my personal experience. So I remember that when I first started thinking about I want to invest and exploring this area, which was completely unfamiliar to me. Again, my education was in law, not in finance then at the beginning, and it was a completely different concept that was never brought to me. And I remember going to a bank and saying, "Oh, I have now a salary. I want to start investing." And they told me, "You cannot start investing because you don't have enough money and it's very expensive." And this is when I said, "No way, there should be a way to invest cheaply." And indeed, there was a way, but I had to, again, I was at the bank and the bank did not tell me that there is another way. And I had to explore that. And this was really my first introduction into investing. I started reading a lot by myself, exploring different options by myself, having these discussions with others. And so I started investing very simply because you can only learn by doing. So I started investing, doing mistakes, and so on. When I moved to the UK, I was working with big financial institutions. I saw a similar pattern that I had seen in Europe and in Central Europe and in Greece. Men and women were not investing at the same pace, and men and women were not as interested. Women were not as interested as men in investments and discussing about investing. And this stood out to me because until then, I thought that I was too young and people when they are younger are not interested into investing. Or I thought that you come from a part of the world that is not as savvy when it comes to investments as or has been suffered from bad financial decisions or stock market crashes to the extent that people do not really want to talk about investing. But then when I was in the UK and especially in financial institutions, and I saw that men and women in senior investment positions who were managing billions of dollars in their everyday life still had a very different approach to investing, this really stood out to me. And I said, there is something deeper here. There is something deeper as a reason that makes women and men not equally comfortable. And it's not knowledge, it's more confidence about the outcome and how confident you are with this element of risk that you need to take every time that you make an investment. And something more that I noticed was that also for me, investing was not something fun, was not something that I like doing every day. Indeed, if you just wake up in the morning and check the stock market, this is not this is not fun. And this can be very stressful in the long run. Having these experiences in mind, when I came to the US, I said I want to start a business uh, where I can fuel my core expertise, which was in law and finance. So I want to start something on fintech, financial literacy. And I saw the same thing, that financial literacy was not really the problem. Financial literacy is presented sometimes as the problem. It's not really the problem. People are literate enough. They will actually report, especially women, that they know less than they actually do. Where the difference lies, especially between men and women, is that women with less knowledge, they are going to do it anyway. Women are more skeptical about the result, have a more perfectionist mindset, and they are not going to do it if the result is not certain, even though they know enough.
Yeah.
At the same time, when I was in the US, I noticed that there was a huge market for rewards and cashbacks, and every credit card, every marketing offer was associated with some sort of financial incentive, something completely new to me because it's not the case in Europe. And this led me to the idea of what if we take this like free money and we convert them to investments. And again, this is like a small market, a small strategy, but the bigger vision is what if we shift the investment focus to where people's attention already is, which is their daily shopping. In this way, we can make investing much more engaging, much more fun, because it won't feel like investing anymore. It will feel like shopping.
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell us more about, you told us about your background, you told us about how you came up with the idea and the struggles that you saw. And tell us more about the app you founded and how it all came together and the challenges you faced while you were starting your app.
Oh my God, that's a huge conversation now. So the app is about converting your everyday spending into investing. Think about going to buy your morning coffee, or continue your day at the gym, or then buying a new outfit, booking your vacation, doing things that you like and you do anyway. And while doing them, your investment account goes up. Then you're not supporting overconsumption anymore. You are a wise investor. Then, therefore, this is the vision behind WealthMeUp, to turn every spender into an investor. And we see a big opportunity with women. Why? Because women are very much underrepresented into the investment markets, which also lead in marketing for investment firms not really targeting women in many ways. But on the other hand, they are overrepresented in the consumer spending market. Women are driving 80% of consumer spending. Think that women are in many cases the ones who manage the budget for a whole they manage the spending for a whole household.
Yes, yes.
And therefore, marketing money is going towards convincing more women buying more products.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, women are becoming wealthier, and we have the biggest wealth transfer in history. And this will happen primarily to women, like wealth that will be transferred from the previous generation to the next one, and primarily to millennial women. And we have a market of a population of women that become more savvy with fintech and investing, or want to become more savvy and has this financial power and knowledge. Therefore, we are creating a tool that empowers this specific demographic that is vastly underrepresented in the way that finance is structured today. We empower them to start investing and continue investing confidently by way of finding opportunities where their attention and their interest already is.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does this work? Like, what do you do? How do you use the app?
Yeah, so you download Wealth Me Up, you sign up, and then you come across over 7,000 options from stores of the likes of Nike, Lululemon, Sephora, Booking.com, and many, many others to do your shopping. And every time that you shop through the app, at the moment it's through the app, but very quickly we will also do at the store, you receive some cashback. And we are talking about real cashback, 5%, 10%, even more, not like 1 or 3%. We are trying to do the cashback instant. You receive it instantly, which is something that others are not doing. And then this cashback, the big difference is that this cashback, we prompt you to set up your investment account. So this cashback gets directed to your investment account. Of course, through your investment account, if you want, you can withdraw the cashback. But if you really want to see yourself as an investor, you can start investing more. You can treat that as an investment account and the cashback as the bonus to start investing towards your future. And after that, you're an investor. We manage your money. So you will ask me, okay, I want to start investing, but I don't know where. When you set up your investment account, we walk you through some questions to understand your financial capabilities, but also your values. And we structure investment portfolios that are in accordance with your investment capability, your risk tolerance, but also with your values. Think about portfolios that invest primarily into women-led companies, or in clean tech and the environment, or in tech, or in shopping experiences. So want to support the businesses where you do your daily shopping. So we adopt a very personalized approach both to shopping and investing, to the extent that we bring in front of you the best opportunities for shopping, and then also we link them with the more with the best opportunities for investing in a values linked way, in a way that is linked to your own values. So this is how the app works today. And of course, we have so many developments on the pipeline. We are very new. We have just started, and but we are expanding very quickly.
That's amazing. So it's called Wealth Me Up. The
App.ai.
Yes,
Yes.
WealthMeUp.ai. Please download the app and start investing. So, what technological innovations were crucial to your solution?
I am not a tech person, so I'm not gonna throw any jargon here. Well, for us, partnerships are really important of different sorts and ways. So integrations and having our backend done correctly was like fundamental from day one. And also the way that we are using AI, or we are planning to use AI in a way that we really leverage the data that you provide to us to personalize and together with public data we combine in order to personalize the experience for you, both on the shopping experience and on the investment experience. Also, we are planning now to implement AI for the learning tool that we have in a way that, again, you learn in a language that speaks to you. You learn by way of avatars that literally curate the content in accordance with your needs and with your level of financial understanding, which again makes the experience much more personalized. And we lead as a platform, and as the platform progresses, as the platform becomes bigger and we have like more users, it will really lead into a truly personalized experience when you have your financial assistant, your true financial assistant, and embedded financial advisor in your pocket.
Yes, yes, definitely. So, what's your vision for WealthMeUp's impact?
Our vision is that every spender is an investor, and this is huge. This is a hugely untapped market and underrepresented market, and a huge potential both for us, but also for those who do not invest now to create a real and sustainable wealth. The future for fintech for me is embedded finance, but embedded finance not in a way that it makes the consumer more likely to spend more or to get into more debt, which is something that we see a lot. Embedded in finance in a way that really makes the users wealthier, wiser, financially more savvy, and ultimately happier, like ultimately more fulfilled, because like financial investing and finance is part of our life.
Yes.
It's not that it's really integrated into our life, and therefore the tools that facilitate that should also be as similarly integrated into our everyday lives.
Awesome. So, with all your experience so far with finance, with law, with moving and being across the globe, what would be your advice to women starting up with startups or women thinking about getting into the entrepreneurial space? What would be your advice?
My advice is always find your why, find your personal why, and find the why behind the company, and be very clear about it, because this why will be translated into the vision of the company, and this why will get you far enough. There are so many challenges along the way and so many obstacles and so many people that are going to challenge, the idea, the execution, you as a person, that it's impossible to sustain all these challenges unless you have a very strong why that will keep you moving no matter what. Because again, from a lifestyle perspective, things are not going to get better. They are going to get worse, especially at the beginning. And the beginning will last for a couple of years. So it's only if you really have a mission inside you that you can last long enough. And I believe that if you last long enough, finally the time will work in your favor.
Yes, absolutely. So, before we leave, before we wrap up, what does your personal life and work life balance look like?
I don't know how to answer this question. I think that they look well. Ask my partner about that. Something that I don't find as a problem now, but I will, I think, very quickly, is that I do not really try to balance the two, and I really see the what I do with my company very much integrated into my life, in the sense that I have not really set a clear boundary between work and life outside work. Like I am in this excitement period where basically I talk about Wealth Me Up, or every meeting is a customer discovery meeting, even though if it's like over drinks at a terrace in New York. That being said, I don't think that this is a healthy habit to continue having. So at some point you need to set clear boundaries, and for example say that with your partner or with some of your close friends you are not going to talk about your work. Like it's also very good for you to decompress or think something different or let things sit on the back of your head, and it's also better for the relationship with them, because at some point it can get really difficult.
Absolutely. Amazing. So thank you so much for this insight and thank you so much for being here, sharing your advice. We wish you all the best and I can't wait to use the app and to learn more about it and to see how you grow and how your company grows.
Yes, no, thank you so much. And please download the app. I'll also send you a referral code so you take $3 off and for your first purchase. And I look forward to your feedback. A startup is always a work in progress. So at this moment, we really love receiving feedback. We really love talking to our users, interviewing them. And this is the way that we become better. And this is how you will also see yourself be reflected into the future version of our app.
Absolutely. For all my listeners, please go ahead and download the WealthMeUp.ai and I will have the referral code in the show notes. So thank you again for your time today and I truly, truly appreciate your insight.
Yes, likewise. Thank you.
As we conclude our conversation with Feli, remember that financial empowerment often begins with making the complex feel accessible. If you're looking to share your innovative business through a digital platform, I'd love to help create a website that communicates your vision clearly through Squarespace or WordPress. This is Anisha Jennings reminding you that sometimes our greatest contributions come from solving the problems we're experiencing firsthand. Until next time.